If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure you check out the episode description. You'll find links there on how you can learn more about this guest, links to connect with them on social media, and how to support the podcast. Remember, I don't get paid to do this. My boss is a bit tight-fisted, but I can say that. I work for myself.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
A pleasure to meet you as well. She is a poet, a writer, and a director, passionate about storytelling through her raw perspective. You're going to love her. You're going to love her poetry. Maggie Daniels, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to get to know you. I got a chance to sneak peek preview some of your poetry through your YouTube. I was listening to it one day while I was just puttering around the house. And before I knew it, I was sitting down just listening. And I think that's kind of the purpose of your poetry. You've got a story to tell.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my mom always told me I was a storyteller. When I was a little kid, I used to always relate to like crime movies. So I was like, I knew I wanted to either do crime or tell stories. Like both is line for a living, I feel like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I just love the story element. I love the imagery, and I think that's why it translates to screen with me so well, because poetry is just jam-packed with imagery. Yeah, I've been writing poems before I could spell. Like I would just skip around the house and my mom would write down what I was saying, and yeah, I love poetry.
That's cool.
I think I naturally have always just been a poet. So yeah.
So when you were that little kid skipping around the house and having fun and your mom was jotting stuff down, where were you living? Where'd you grow up?
Lumberton, North Carolina. It's a little town off I-95 between halfway point between New York City and Miami, Florida, in North Carolina, North Crack-a-lackin'.
So you got to see all the old people as they
Oh
became,
yeah, it's the highway town, the stop offs to all sorts of walks of folks, and it's off of the Lumbee River, and it's a uh, historic river in the state. It's a beautiful state. I miss North Carolina. I'm about ready to move back, honestly. I miss the trees, the rainy days, a little bit of the humidity, not all of it, just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find my deepest, the older I get, I find the root of my inspiration comes from where I'm from. And I grew up just wanting to get out of there because it's a swamp, like farm town. Like I was born where J. Cole raps about. Fayetteville, North Carolina was where I was born, but I grew up 30 minutes south in Lumberton. And it's just farmland and swamp. So like as a kid, you want to get out of there. Like as an adult, I was in a Pepsi stadium at a concert. I don't even remember what concert it was, but I saw the max capacity number on the wall of how many people were in the stadium, and it was 23,000. And that's more than currently is in my hometown right now, population. And I was just like, wow, I made it. Like it's a very small town, very small town.
Oh, I lived for a little while in a town in Arkansas with a population of 162 people.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Well, they painted over the 3 and put a 2 when I left.
That's hilarious. That's iconic, though. Wow. Yeah. And I ain't never coming back. It's staying 2. Yeah, no, it's awesome. No, I love my hometown. I try to go home as much as possible. My dad still lives outside of town. And I have a lot of friends that are still in town. And actually, when I was home for the holidays, I kind of embarrassed myself. A little local like coffee shop was announcing that they were going to start doing like open mic nights for any kind of artistry, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I can go like read some poetry about some motherfuckers I don't like in town, in my hometown, like a full circle moment. You know what I'm saying? And I announced I was going to go, and I just read the Facebook page. Dyslexic moment, you know, big genius over here. I read the Facebook post wrong, and it said it was a month when I wasn't going to be there. It wasn't the week I was in town. And so I was like, I backpedaled. I was like, text everyone, like, just kidding. I'm not going to go read. But yeah, I like to see more arts come to where I grew up. Like my biggest goal, like my little secret goal in my heart, I would just love to just like win the lottery and just like go back and put like a bunch of art institution, like just accessibility to the kids in my hometown to experience more artistic things.
Well,
Yeah.
that's such a cool
I know
idea.
that was a long way to get to that answer, but yeah.
Was your mom an artistic person? Did she like to draw or paint or write or anything?
Oh, my mom was such a better artist than me. She could do everything. Everything, paint, sculpt. She used to make stained glass
Wow.
shit, like, yeah, she'd make stained glass art, like literally anything with your hands. She could write, I forgot what it's called, but she could write with her right hand and her left hand. And
Ambidextrous. Yeah.
yeah, and she took calligraphy when she was in school. So like her handwriting would like pick a font and she could do it. And like literally all of my school like posters and stuff, she would like deck out. Like I have horrible handwriting. My mother, literally everything she touched was beautiful. Like when she did volunteer work in town, she would make the most elaborate like baskets for auction, and hers were always the pretty. Like literally everything she touched was turned to gold. And I wish I would have realize that more. Like as a kid, you don't understand that your parents are people until you're an adult, and then you have less time to enjoy the person they are. It's very unfortunate. But
Yeah.
yeah, my mom was very special. Definitely an artist. I've actually been finding poems she wrote around like my age now. And I just keep finding more poems she wrote. So I might gradually include them in my books and stuff. But
I
yeah,
love that.
she always encouraged my poetry, and I always really was thankful for that. I'm really kind of bummed I waited till after she died to publish anything, but you know, tomatoes, whatever. It happens. When it comes to mother-daughter relationships, you're friends when you're 30. Like when one like when you get past 25, I feel like you can be friends with your mom, and my mom died when I was 26, and it's just like, damn it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's what a lot of your poetry for this specific book was about you trying to figure out what life is going to look like now without her. How
Yeah.
how did she
And
pass?
um May 19th, 2019, she was 62. It was my 26th birthday, and that's just really weird, like the reverse numbers of each other.
Yeah.
Um we were really close, except for the last couple years of her life. Her mental health, she was bipolar, so she
Mm,
would get extreme like manic episodes, and she like the worse her mental health got, the more I was like the mascot of how she took it out, how she got her rage out, how I have C-PTSD um from a lot of childhood trauma, dealing with my not understanding my mom's own mental health. And I have a lot of empathy for a lot of things now, because I understand, she's her own person, and I can separate my memories now. Like this was my mom, this was her mental health moment. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I wish I would have been able to do that when she was still alive. You know what I mean? So it was very sudden. I hadn't spoken to her in years, not for lack of trying. Like I said, if you have anyone in your life with extreme bipolar disorder that's not actually treated, and a baby boomer, she was born in the 50s, like whole different generation on mental health. Like when she went to college and studied like bipolar wasn't even on the books. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah, it was just really hard. And it's honestly it's a daily, weekly process of my own, going through breaking down. I feel like I'm healing both of us at this point, because she's like in a neutral space and I can just like let out and express myself openly enough that I'm getting through it. You know what I mean? Like if my mom were still alive, I don't think I could write as therapeutically as I do. I think I would feel blocked, that I didn't want to hurt her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but a lot of my writing roots from grief. Swimming itself The reason the book is white, it represents like a white flag, like surrendering to all the emotions. I had like a Watergate of emotions I had at the time. And when my mom had died, I hadn't really written in years. I'd been going through a big writer's block and I was like really insecure. I didn't go to college and I went to a college prep school. So it was like college was in like bringing it in there. Like you don't go to college, you don't know anything. And so I thought I didn't even know enough words to like be a writer. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So I've been working through that. I have to blow my nose if you don't mind. Sorry. Oh,
So yeah, the
but
book
yeah.
that you just mentioned, Swimming, it's available on paperback for only $15 on Barnes and Noble, which is a deal for this book. By the way, it's a great book. But yeah, when you talk about it being why it's white, it is a solid white cover that simply says Swimming by Maggie Daniels. But it's beautiful because if you read it, you
Yeah.
start to understand so much. To anybody who's just glancing at it, they're not going to get it. But if
Yeah,
you look at it and take a moment.
that's why the back of the book has the poem Swimming on it. It kind of gives the reader a little bit of insight of what they're getting into. The poem that is Swimming is somebody told me find what you die for and then drown in it. I put pen to paper and then just started swimming. And that's me giving in to everything I was feeling and processing. Like when my mom died, I went mentally the lowest I've ever felt in my life. And I really had to have the conversation with myself, why do I want to wake up every day?
Mm.
And I kept getting back to writing. I want to create, like that's all I want to do with my time. So yeah, that's how I'm working it out. I write a lot. Actually, I have a new book coming out, and then a couple behind that afterwards. But um, yeah, swimming was basically, yeah, my surrender of becoming who I've always meant to be, like just giving in to being myself.
I
Yeah.
wish more people would figure out how to do that, honestly. So,
It's uncomfortable. It's
oh
uncomfortable.
yeah, absolutely.
I
Which is
don't
why it's so
think the
difficult to
average person
do.
likes discomfort.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We shy away from it naturally.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
So,
why I like that my audiobook has music because like a lot of people listen to it when they're cleaning or hanging out. The musicians, my friends, Jenna Desmond and Corey Campbell out of South Carolina, they're amazing. The amount of talent between the two of them is just astronomical. Um, but they recorded over 400 individual soundtracks to make those in like different like moods in the background.
wow,
And it's a vibe. It's a vibe. Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. Collaboration makes art so much better. Like that I love kind artists, people that you can just create with you can just send them a couple lines and be like, "Hey, do this." And they come back with just such a just beautiful presentation of what they're good at. It's just I love it. I love it.
So, one of the things that I have struggled with in my own past, which is almost related, but not quite, my mom's father passed away on my 16th birthday. It made
Oh,
it
that's
really
hard.
difficult for a long time to celebrate my birthday. Do you still struggle with that?
Yeah, 100%. It's indifferent at this point. Like the first few years, because it's now going on almost what, 5 years? Wow. Um, the first few years, it was really hard, but now it's kind of beautiful. Like my mom, I felt like my mom reminded me how close we are. And I joke with my friends, I'm like, I'm gonna be a bitch and die on her birthday. It's fine. It's fine. Uh, but her birthday is the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March. My mother was born. Um, but yeah, she was a cool gal, and I love writing about her. She's honestly my favorite muse. As painful as some of the poems are, I feel like those are the ones that people reach out to me and say help them um, put into words how they're feeling because oh man, it was so hard. One of the poems that comes to mind, I wrote the week my mom died. It's called Empty.
Mm.
And one of the lines in it is I feel repetitively empty until I'm no skin, just bones. And that's all I could, that's the only word I could, that was the first poem that like started the floodgate. Like that was the only word that I felt related to was the word empty.
Wow.
And that's really why I put together swimming is to like help other people like put into words and be like, oh shit, someone else feels, because feeling those fucking lows and feeling like you're the only one feeling that, I feel like that's how you get to the like poor like suicide and all those poor decision making. And I just wanted to be honest with people that like it's not an isolated emotion.
Right. Right.
So
So what all
yeah.
helped you to heal after you lost your mom? I know that writing was definitely probably a big, huge part of that, but what else did you have to do?
I had to actively choose healthier choices. Like I have stomach problems and with anxiety and my PTSD and stuff, I had to really focus on like I started taking my medication properly. I wasn't very good at that before, and just making more intentional choices with like my nervous system has really made a big difference. Like breath work and um, just making healthier choices. Breath work has kept me out of the hospital, honestly. I can breathe myself out of some nausea now, let me tell you. And it has taken years, like literally 2023 was the first year since 2012 that I was not hospitalized for my anxiety and PTSD because I get physically ill when my nervous system gets too overworked. I have to go to the hospital, get IV fluids to stop like vomiting. Um, so it's been a very slow build, but I feel like I'm getting better at it. So
Wow.
yeah.
It's a journey. It's absolutely a journey. And I
Yeah.
know that your upbringing was a little bit rough because of her medical health and her mental health issues. Have you learned how
Yeah.
to have more productive relationships with other people in your life outside of that? Did that take some work too?
Yes, and it still takes work. It still takes patience, and I constantly have to remind myself of the element that other people only have the capacity to do and say the things that they have the capacity to do and say, and that you really have to do the work yourself. You can't rely on outside reaction to your triggers to help you, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot of inner, like, I've been approved for the ketamine trials in Denver, and I've heard a lot of people say they've had really good results for that. And I kind of really am interested. It's kind of like doing like peyote in the jungle or something. You
Oh, wow.
like it's an extreme like tranquilizer, like psychedelic, and they get you all doped up and they sit you in a room with a psychiatrist, and it's supposed to like neutralize your emotion to your trauma so you can talk about it from a third party perspective. And I'm
Wow.
really, really interested in that. And I feel like I've gotten to the point where I think I'm going to be able to handle diving into that because I don't like traditional talk therapy. I always feel way worse. And I usually physically get ill after just like a one-on-one talk about about trauma or about a specific incident. So I'm really curious to be neutralized in my own situation. And that's how I feel I already kind of psychologically do that to myself with film. As soon as I wrote the first draft to my first screenplay that we're in pre-production for, still got a lot of work to do, but me and my producer are killing it and we're getting it done. But when I first finished that uh, first draft, I felt such a relief, like I had separated myself from that trauma, and it was on a fictional character. Like that's on the actor, that's on the character, that's on the story, that's locked in there, and it's away from me now. And so I'm just trying to figure out how to do that more.
It's so cool being able
mentally.
to give it a physical body separate from yourself. You can set
Yeah,
it down and walk
yeah,
away from it.
yeah, yeah, basically. It's going to be fun to really shoot it. I'm sure I'm going to be really emotional, but it's going to be very therapeutic. I'm excited.
And I know people are going to ask, when is this coming out and where can people find it when this film comes out?
I would just stay tuned on maggielogic.com. Me and my producer Jason Sherman are hard at work. It's coming soon. I've been working on this for about a little over 10 years, and the closest to making it happen than I've ever been. So I'm getting really excited. It's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. Let's ask me that question next year, and I'll probably have a release date. So
I'm so excited for you. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
it's been a long one coming. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, a lot of people in that small town are mad about it, but it's okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
When it comes out, definitely let me know because I'll have you back on the show and we'll do kind of a recap and we'll talk about your new project because I haven't
For
had
sure.
a filmmaker before. I've had lots
Yeah,
of authors and I've had a band. I had a heavy metal band, which was pretty cool, but I've
that's
never
awesome.
had a filmmaker. So that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, musicians are actually my favorite kind of people personally.
Yeah.
So that's fun that you've interviewed a band. I
Yeah.
actually used to take pictures. My mom used to teach photography to college students at the University of Pembroke, and she went to college for photography, and she had like her degree in marketing and stuff. And so I was really into photography when I was in high school, and I got really good at sending emails to like concert venues and stuff to get press passes, pretending like I was a press person. And I ended up in like press pits with like Rolling Stones photographers, and they were like, "What is this kid doing here?" And I'm just like, "I sent the right email." And I would just see all my favorite bands and photograph them. It was like the best.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, so yeah, I love musicians, favorite kind of people. But yeah.
More creative people. We need more
Yes,
creative people.
yes. 100%. 100%. Well, I'm really glad you enjoyed the audiobook because
Oh yeah.
it's such a treat. Especially because of Jenna and Corey's tremendous talent in the background. I'm blown away every time I listen to it.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Thank you. I actually wasn't prepared for how emotionally draining and physically draining it was to record that audiobook. There are
Mm.
269 poems
Yeah.
about my personal trauma, and I'm just in this booth and I'm like 100 poems in, and I really thought I had a good cry that afternoon, and like I really thought I was gonna be like my voice was shaking halfway through. Like on day two, I realized I was gonna need 3 days to record it. It was hard. It was hard. I
Yeah.
forgot that I was the piece of shit and all these. I'm a piece of shit poems, like perspective. Um, but it was really good. It's been very therapeutic. I highly recommend anyone express finding any outlet to express themselves. I actually really love when people come up to me and say that my work inspired them to write more. And I'm
Mm.
like, fuck yeah, go do that. Write more. Yes, write more. Write it down. That's what my mom always said. Write it down. So yeah.
Well, it has come to that point in the conversation where I have to ask you my last question. So I'm very hopeful that
Awesome.
we get to do this again sometime. But my last question is always my favorite because it can change depending on what kind of a day you're having. What is one thing that you truly love about yourself that's not related to your physical appearance?
I would say, as much as it um, tricks me, I would say my mind. I'm very, I like, I like my mind. I like my curiosity and my creativity and the dyslexia of it all. It's a whole scrambled ball of glitter up there. I don't know what's going on, but it's a fun ride, you know? So yeah, I'd say my mind.